Air Leak Project. I hope you're doing fantastic today. Thank you very much for joining us this edition. Lots of news to share with you, and I know your time is extremely valuable, so I'm going to share it with you as quick as I can here. So buckle up, Buttercups. Let's go. The first article that I wanted to share with you. Well, first of all, let's start off with this. Did you know that just yesterday, an amazing new crop circle popped up in Brazil? We're going to look at that. It's quite fascinating. And we're going to look at the Unidentified Anomalous Phenomena Policy Guide, policy implications for the government of the UK. We're going to talk about that for a minute. We're going to look at, oh man, already freezing up here. Can you believe it? Am I back? Okay, so I've got audio, but I've got no video. That's fine. Let's just do a screen share here. Screen share. Boom. Maybe this will work. All right, so I'll turn the video back on in a moment. That's not a big deal. So much news, and it's starting to freeze up the computer here. So this was the crop circle yesterday in Brazil, and this area has actually seen several crop circles. So the crop circle itself, somebody says, represents the hydrogen atom, and this was actually in Brazil just yesterday. This is the Unidentified Anomalous Phenomena Policy Implications for the Government of the UK. So they actually have a 65-page manual now about UAPs. We're going to get into the latest information of Comet Atlas, 3i Atlas, C 2025 N1. This was a very interesting X post that I found on X, and let's take this with a grain of salt. Absolutely. This could be complete nonsense, but we're going to read this because according to this tweet or this X post, this person is allegedly a PhD researcher working with the European Space Agency. We're going to get into that in a minute, talking about how 3i Atlas could be some type of dark matter relic masquerading as a comet. 3i Atlas is now visible from Earth. So, do you have a telescope? I do. I'm going to try and figure out how to use it good enough to spot 3i Atlas. It's an 8-inch Meade dual mount telescope, and I can hook it up to a camera. We could live stream it. So, if somebody wants to help me out with this, I've got the equipment. I just need some more brain power because I don't know exactly how to track objects in the sky with this thing yet because it's anyway, so we'll talk about that later. It is a newer telescope. So you can actually watch 3i Atlas now with your telescope if you know what you're doing. But this is really interesting. A lot of people have commented about this and 3i Atlas potentially being the blue star Kachina. You know, clearly this is speculation. We're in the theory, hypothesis realms right now because we're taking alleged ancient prophecies and attempting to link them with a phenomena in the sky currently. So we're going to look at this though, because there are some very interesting connections when you look at these prophecies and we look at what's going on right now and we look at 3i Atlas. Very interesting. And so we go back to, where's it at right here? Just a couple of days ago, as 3i Atlas is coming back around the sun, it is shining brighter and bluer than the sun. And this can be explained pretty good with the electric universe theory. And I'm still trying to get somebody to come on and talk to me about the electric universe theory in connection with 3i Atlas, describing and explaining a lot of these anomalous behaviors from traditional comets. And I'm still working on that. That's a work in progress. I asked Diamond from the Oppenheimer Ranch Project to come on. He might come on and talk about it. He's actually done podcasts about it and the electric universe theory. So he's pretty knowledgeable. I'd say very knowledgeable when it comes to that theory and that cosmology, I should say. But let's look at this and let's see if I got video yet again. Hey, all right. Yeah, I got video back. Cool. Hey, everybody. So let's talk about the Blue Kachina prophecy and see how it compares to 3i Atlas and see if there's actually some connecting dots there. The Hopi prophecy, also very interesting to note. In the Hopi prophecy, it talks about something falling out of space. And in 2030 or 2031, the International Space Station is scheduled to be deorbited and fall to Earth. That's really interesting. So let's look at these signs of the Hopi prophecy, the Blue Kachina, and Three-Eye Atlas. Probably not the same. Possibly. We're looking at where all the data is taking us, and we're connecting all the dots. So let's see what we have here. The Hopi name for the star Sirius is the blue star Kachina. So in this prophecy, it's connecting Sirius with the blue star Kachina. However, let's see what we have currently right now. In the first sign, we're told of the coming of the white-skinned men. This is the prophecy, like Pahana, but not living like Pahana, men who took the land that was not theirs, and men who struck their enemies with thunder. This is the second sign. Our lands will see the coming of spinning wheels filled with voices. In his youth, my father saw this prophecy come true with his eyes. The white men bringing their families in wagons across the prairies. This is obviously the perspective of a native, seeing what's going on around them. This is the third sign. A strange beast like a buffalo, but with great long horns, will overrun the land in large numbers. These white feather saw with his eyes the coming of the white men's cattle. I guess that's automobiles. This is the fourth sign. The land will be crossed by snakes of iron. This is the fifth sign. The land shall be crisscrossed by a giant spider's web. That's very interesting, because if you look at, Starlink and all of the satellites and all of the internet routers and Wi-Fi, it seems like the Earth is surrounded by a giant spider web, the World Wide Web. This is the sixth sign. The land shall be crisscrossed with rivers of stone that make pictures in the sun. I don't really know if I know what that is referencing, or maybe it's referencing contrails. I don't know. And I know you could also call it chemis. This is the seventh sign. You will hear of the sea turning black and many living things dying because of it. This is the eighth sign. You will see many youth who wear their hair long, like my people, come and join the tribal nations to learn their ways and wisdom. And this is the ninth and last sign. You will hear of a dwelling place in the heavens above the earth, the ISS orbiter as an example, that shall fall with a great crash. It will appear as a blue star. Very soon after this, the ceremonies of my people will cease. The signs are interpreted as follows. The first sign is of guns. The second sign is the pioneers covered wagons. The third sign is of longhorn cattle. The fourth sign describes the railroad tracks. The fifth sign is a clear image of our electric power and telephone lines. The sixth sign describes concrete highways and their mirage producing effects. The seventh sign foretells of oil spills in the ocean. The eighth sign clearly indicates the hippie movement of the 60s. The ninth sign was the U.S. space station Skylab, which fell to Earth in 1979. According to Australian eyewitnesses, it appeared to be burning blue. So, and I don't know if I agree with all this, but I find it very interesting to look at these comparisons. And I think it's something that we could certainly add to the list of information and possibilities. And then when we look at the International Space Station being decommissioned by 2030, 2031, then falling to Earth, and we look at Comet Apophis, which is supposed to reach its closest point to Earth 2029, Friday the 13th. The name Apophis itself is quite ominous, but Three-Eye Atlas is fascinating, absolutely fascinating. So let's look at some more information of Three-Eye Atlas here. There's been several requests to release images of Three-Eye Atlas from different technologies like the HiRISE on Mars. And we're also waiting on data from China. China has incredible technologies on Mars and around Mars where they should be releasing some of the images as well. Why are they not releasing this footage if it's just a comet? Unless the nations around the world have decided to create this mindset of fascination, and the images are just so terrible, it would be just such a disappointing outcome that they're not going to share those photos and videos, because there's more excitement behind the scenes without those. I'm not buying that, but that's the only other thing I can think of, unless there's a potential threat and not necessarily alien spacecraft. I'm definitely not on the alien spacecraft bandwagon. I mean, it could be. You're not going to surprise me either way. If this thing comes out tomorrow and it's an alien spacecraft, I'll be like, okay, yeah. Or if it comes out tomorrow and we can see without a shadow of a doubt that it's just this really cool interstellar object, I'll be like, okay, yeah, fascinating. Somebody had mentioned that it's like a Twinkie that's off-gassing in certain ways. And it could be. I was kind of poking fun at that the other day when I was thinking about a Twinkie moving around the solar system and releasing gas at certain times to maneuver around the planets, etc. But I don't know enough about it. So I need to research it more. You know what I mean? I was just kind of poking fun at that. I did. Very well, there's more to the story than what I know about. So I just want to put that out there because I think I upset the person that told me that. So I apologize. Anyway, so much love. And yeah, I just thought it sounded kind of funny. A Twinkie with smart gas. I mean, that does sound kind of funny, right? Come on, it's a little bit funny. But anyway, so we need more data. We need more input. And it's not just Professor Loeb that's asking for photos and images of 3I Atlas. It's not just Professor Loeb that is brilliant, that's describing the irregularities of this object compared to what we know about traditional comets. Now, obviously, this is only the third interstellar object that we have detected, so we don't have a lot of data to go on. But let's look at this. Requests to release 3I Atlas data have come from both the scientific community, led by figures like Harvard astrophysicist Professor Loeb, Avi Loeb, and from government officials like Congresswoman Anna Paulina Luna. They are specifically asking NASA to release high-resolution images of the interstellar object, which were captured October 2nd and 3rd by the Mars Reconnaissance Orbiter HiRISE camera. It has not yet been publicly disclosed, and the urgency stems from time-sensitive nature of the data. 3I Atlas is leaving the solar system, and its unique composition is being studied for scientific and potentially other reasons. It's moving at about 140,000 miles an hour, contains unusually high amounts of nickel and carbon dioxide with little to no water or carbon monoxide. Initially debated as possibly a bare nucleus, but follow-up observations confirmed a coma, a cloud of gas and dust. Its rotation period is approximately 16.79 hours, and it's redder than other interstellar objects. However, when it passed the sun, it became extremely blue, which made me think about, well, and me and many other people, and that's why I'm doing a podcast and talking more about the Blue Kachina, and we're going to get into that more. Let's get into that prophecy more and look at where the prophecy actually came from. I think that's important. Is it really an ancient prophecy, or is it something more recent? So in Frank Waters' writings on Hopi mythology, the blue star Kachina is a Kachina or spirit that will signify the coming of the beginning of the new world by appearing in the form of a blue star. The blue star Kachina is said to be the ninth and final sign before the day of purification, described as an apocalypse or a world engulfing cataclysm that will lead to the destruction of the world. Author Jason Colavito investigated this prophecy and found no reference to it before the late 20th century. So, according to Hopi prophecy, as reported by writer Frank Waters, at the beginning of time, the creator Teowa created his nephew to construct places for life. His nephew is named Soroknane. Out of nothingness, Soroknane created 9 universes or worlds, one for Teowa, one for himself, and 7 others for additional life. The first 3 of these worlds have already been inhabited and subsequently destroyed due to the corruption and wickedness of man. Each time one of the worlds is destroyed, the faithful Hopi are taken underground and saved from destruction to later emerge and populate the next world. According to Waters' books, which were written in the 1960s, Hopis believe that humanity is currently residing in the 4th world. Like the previous worlds, Tuwakachi is also prophesied to be destroyed because of the corruption of humanity. So the final sign is the 9th and final sign of destruction, being described by Whitefeather via Waters as, "You will hear of a dwelling place in the heavens above the earth that shall fall with a great crash. It will appear as a blue star, Very soon after this, the ceremonies of my people will cease. The idea of the blue star Kachina marking the end of all Hopi rituals is reflected in Waters' book, Book of the Hopi, in which he states the end of all Hopi ceremonialism will come when a Kachina removes his mask during a dance in the plaza before uninitiated children. The absence of Hopi ceremonialism will coincide with the destruction of the fourth world. Waters suggests that World War III will begin and the United States will be ripped apart by war, leaving only the Hopis and their homeland intact. The war of the end of the world is described by Waters as a spiritual conflict with material matters. According to Hopi prophecy, shortly after the blue star Kachina is visible to all and the day of purification is realized, the true white brother will come to earth in search of Hopi who steadfastly adhere to the ancient teachings. It is said that if the true white brother falls or fails in his mission and is unable to find uncorrupted men and women, that the earth will be completely destroyed and no one will be spared. However, if successful in bringing the symbols and finding those who still follow the true Hopi way of life, the world will be created anew and all the faithful will be saved from destruction. You know, the amazing story, amazing prophecy, whether or not it's a modern prophecy or an ancient prophecy, or it's a modern prophecy that was put together from ancient prophecies and stories and rituals, it's pretty cool. And it makes me think of other scriptures that talk about people that follow the rules that they're supposed to, are going to persevere, and they're going to make it out like kings and queens, and they're going to be fine, and they're going to be rewarded for their trials and tribulations. It's a psychological story. I mean, it's like the hero's journey. You make it through these journeys, you make it through these times and these trials. Well, you're going to come out on the you're going to come out through this as the phoenix rising. But you know, in other words, I don't know if this is an ancient prophecy or more of a modern prophecy. But what is fascinating is some of the comparisons when you look at the parallels of the events that needed to take place and the events that need to take place before this apocalypse reveals itself. Now, what is interesting to note is the blue star Kachina, if that is originally referencing Sirius, the star Sirius, there's a very good chance Sirius is our mother star. And there isn't anything in the foreseeable future where Sirius is going to be getting close enough to our solar system or to our planet to cause these types of cataclysms and destructions. But if we look at the blue Kachina as a Kachina itself, see, the Kachinas are interesting. I have a good friend that is a Hopi elder. His name is Maleva, and he's one of the last of his tribe. And he's shared videos with us talking about the Kachinas and what the Kachinas are. There's different types of Kachinas, and they're portrayed as dolls that wear masks, and they take the mask off and they're showing themselves, sometimes fearful, sometimes not, but they're very powerful. And they're not one specific thing. It's not a specific planet or a specific star. A Kachina can be a multitude of things. A Kachina can be weather. You know, like you can have a winter Kachina. You can have a summer Kachina. You can have different types of Kachinas. So they're taking bits and pieces. Let me rephrase that. So when we look at a Kachina, we need to understand that a Kachina can be a multitude of different things and scenarios. And so it's definitely not Sirius. If you want to compare this blue star to a falling star station, like what happened in 1979, or like the ISS that's going to be deorbited in 2030, if that was what they're referencing as the blue Kachina, we can say it's not Sirius, it's something else. It's something more local to where we are. Now, if it's referencing a comet, one thing interesting that I did understand that made a lot of sense about Comet Atlas, 3i Atlas getting bluer as it's coming back around the sun is if it is an object that is being electrically charged as it's traveling around the sun, it is going to get brighter. Absolutely, it's going to get brighter. So this blue Kachina, this red and blue, does that mean that we see something in the sky that's coming towards Earth that's red and then it turns blue, or are these two separate objects? There's a lot of speculation there, so I can't give you an answer. But it's very interesting when we read about the different signs in connection to a potential World War III. We read the news, we look at our troops, and we look at the movement of troops from Europe to the Caribbean. It seems like new allies are being made and new alliances are being made, new adversaries. NATO is fortifying their military. Russia is launching a ton of drones over airspace that it shouldn't be. And we can talk about that later, but there's like all these hybrid warfare scenarios going on, GPS spoofing going on, airports being shut down because of unexplained drones. Now we have potentially new nuclear testing going on again. So there's a lot of stuff going on that seems to kind of check off these different signs. Like the land will be crossed by snakes of iron. The land shall be crisscrossed by a giant spider's web. The land shall be crisscrossed with rivers of stone that make pictures in the sun. You will hear the sea turning black and many living things dying because of it. Oil spills, the Gulf oil spill as an example, which the core exit, some people said that the core exit was actually worse than the oil. Now, I'm not saying that, but I mean, I think they're both really bad, but there's a lot of experts out there that said that core exit, which was dropping the oil in the Gulf, was actually worse than the oil it was for the ecosystem. That's a whole other podcast. But these signs seem to link up. So I find that pretty interesting. It's an interstellar orbit. It's not orbiting the sun in a traditional sense. They're saying a one-time open-ended trajectory known as a hyperbolic orbit. High velocity and trajectory indicated originated from another solar system. It's traveling about 135,000 miles an hour, which is way too fast for the sun's gravity to capture it. Its perihelion, its closest approach, will be October 29th, the day before the winter solstice, which is amazing. It's going to be 1.4 astronomical units approximately away, just inside Mars orbit. Currently, they're saying no threat. Its closest approach to Earth is going to be about 1.8 astronomical units. And it is absolutely observable now. If you have the right telescope, you can see this object. Okay, so let's look at this. Let's go to this and read this from Skywatch Signal. This is a speculative leak. I'm glad they put that at the top. So just remember this. Could 3I Atlas be a dark matter relic masquerading as a comet? Keep in mind that the following post is from 4chan and should be treated as speculative at best. I think this was written by ChatGPT. I can tell by the the first few lines here. But anyway, I am a PhD researcher working with the European Space Agency with ongoing access to the combined observational data for 3I Atlas for months. I have been part of a formal working group that has tried and failed to reconcile this object's behavior with any known class of natural celestial body. The official position is that 3I Atlas is a uniquely active but otherwise natural comet. This position is no longer tenable, and the silence from leadership on the cognitive dissonance this requires is becoming seriously a professional issue for a growing number of us. It feels like a mistake in the data until you've checked it 100 times. With all the available instruments, the object is venting about 150 kilograms of gas and dust every single second. We see it, yet it does nothing. It's like watching a howitzer fire a shell with absolutely zero recoil or smoke or bang. It's a constant, violent event with no consequences, and that is a disgusting violation of basic physics. The only way the physics works is if the object has the mass of a small moon, crammed into a space no more than 2 to 3 kilometers across. The lower models give us a limit of 33 billion tons, which just creates a second worst problem. Finding a mountain on an interstellar trajectory is statistically impossible. Our surveys have only just started. To find an object this massive this soon means the galaxy isn't just dotted with debris, it's swarming with them. The models are wrong by a factor of 10,000. Our entire picture of what gets ejected from solar systems is fundamentally, grotesquely flawed. Or this object isn't debris at all. And that is quite terrifying. Quite a terrifying conclusion. We are being discouraged from discussing. You look at what's actually in the gas, it gets worse. We're seeing pure atomic nickel steaming off. It's happening at temperatures where it should be frozen solid. This isn't gradual like ice turning to vapor. It's a switch. The nickel production is insanely sensitive to sunlight. A tiny change in heat and it just shuts off. There's only one way to get that: a breakdown of a parent molecule. The only option is nickel tetracarbonyl, something we use in industrial refining. Like I was telling you yesterday, they use that type of nickel alloy to harden technologies that are launched into space to protect them from radiation. It explains everything, especially why there's no iron, but it is not a naturally occurring compound. What the hell is a synthetic chemical doing on a rock which we think has been in space for billions of years? Well, see, that's the thing. How the hell would we know what's on a rock that's been traveling through space for billions of years? We don't have much to go on. We've got two other interstellar objects to compare it to. The dust it's shedding is just as messed up. We measure how light reflects off it. Its polarization tells you about the texture of the particles. Every comet, every asteroid, they all fall within a certain range. The thing's data comes back so far off what's expected. Our director insisted we were messing up for the best part of a week until we repeated the result. It's interesting to read this because I'm wondering if the person that wrote this added the F words to make it look less like it was written by ChatGPT, or if they just, I don't know, but I find that interesting. The only way to get these numbers is if the dust grains are something else entirely. Not sand, not ice, large, incredibly complex particles, black and porous as smoke. It's not natural dust. It's a manufactured material. The chemistry is wrong. The physics is wrong. It's a perfectly self-consistent system of wrongness, as though its whole purpose is to make us doubt ourselves. And it gets worse. Hubble and Webb see a feature that shouldn't exist. Faint, greasy smear of a tail pointing straight at the sun. Supposedly, a massive CO2 jet is firing from its sun-facing side, powerful enough to lift heavy water ice grains that sunlight can't easily push away. A violent directional engine. Okay, fine. But it isn't rotating. We've stared at it for days on end. Its brightness doesn't change, not by a fraction of a percent. It's a dead flat line. A jet that's powerful on a rotating body would create a pulse, a flicker, a rhythm. We see absolute perfect, unwavering stillness. The explanation for the tail requires a violent directional event. The observations of its light requires a perfectly uniform cloud. You can't have both. One is a lie. Either the model for the tail is BS or that cloud isn't natural. Then there's the heat. This thing is cold. It's absorbing gigawatts of raw solar energy, enough to power a small city. We calculate the energy budget, and there's a massive surplus. That heat has to go somewhere. It should be driving off enormous plumes of water vapor, but the water isn't there. It's like pointing a blowtorch at an ice cube and watching it refuse to melt. The object has found a way to either dispose of or regulate an enormous thermal load to keep its surface locked at a specific low temperature. And that's before you even look at the path it took to get here. Its trajectory is a statistical joke. It's a perfect low angular momentum orbit, the kind that guarantees a close pass. The physicists who model this stuff are blunt. There is no known natural process that filters massive objects onto these trajectories. It wasn't just a random encounter. For all intents and purposes, this thing was delivered from the darkness. You don't get it. None of these are separate problems. They're all symptoms of a single underlying sickness. A jet powerful enough to make the tail would make the object flicker. It doesn't. A body that massive should be dead. It isn't. The sun's heat should be boiling it alive. It feels nothing. Each paradox is a wall, and we're all standing here, staring at the walls, refusing to see the shape of the room. This isn't a failure of our models. This is a glimpse of the machinery running underneath them, and it's wrong. It is a macroscopic quantum object, a stable, massive particle left over from its first microseconds of the Big Bang, a bubble of a different set of physical laws that has managed to survive, cloaked in the skin of our reality. The name for this engine in theoretical physics is a non-topological soliton or cue ball. This isn't a theory. It is the only known physics that make the data coherent. Once you look at it, the entire system of wrongness snaps into a logical, horrifying picture. The cue ball is the mass. Its engine is its own decay. The lack of recoil is no longer a paradox. It's a defining feature. The outgassing isn't a jet. It is an isotropic ablation, a perfectly spherically symmetric outflow of matter as the core's energy boils its mantle from the inside out. There is no net thrust. It moves without consequence because the event is happening inside a perfectly balanced system. The toxic chemistry in the manufactured dust are the cue ball's exhaust. A low, constant internal temperature over billions of years is a different kind of furnace than a star. It's a slow burn reactor creating compounds as an inevitable byproduct of its own physics. The dust isn't natural. It's the processed slag of an ancient furnace. The thermal lockdown is no longer a mystery. The cue ball is not regulating heat. It is simply indifferent to it. The gigawatts from the sun are a trivial external variable to a monstrous 3 billion-year-old object with its own power source. It radiates solar energy away passively like any inert rock would because the sun is not part of its life cycle. The impossible trajectory ceases to be statistical anomaly. This object is not debris. It's not the horde. It is dark matter itself. I'm sorry. What? The object is not debris. It one of the horde. It is dark matter itself. We found one this easily because they are fundamental. They are everywhere, not a rare accident of stellar evolution. This is not a matter of belief. Screen cap this. First, keep watching it. A comet's activity is a function of its distance from the sun. As 3i Atlas recedes into the dark, its CO2-driven engine should sputter and die. It will not. Its internal engine is constant. Its brightness and mass loss rate will remain impossibly high as it travels into the outer solar system. It will violate the laws of thermodynamics for a passive cooling body. Second, listen for the engine. Its decay is not silent. It's a constant 73 megawatt particle physics event. This must produce a stable, non-thermal, high-energy signature. Point a gamma-ray telescope at it if you detect a signal that is not attributable to solar-wind interaction. You are not seeing a comet. You are hearing the heartbeat of an object that doesn't follow the rules of physics. Here's the source right here. Did you get that? Like I said, buckle up, buttercups. This is exciting. Actually, well, I'm not going to say it because, wow, that's pretty rad. Whether it's right or wrong, that's pretty darn cool. I'm excited. Are you? Okay, so we've looked at the connections to the prophecies. We've looked at the data sets of the comet itself or the object itself. There's 35 images that are available of 3i Atlas that are not artificially created through computer programs or artificial intelligence. Like, you know, we can see the data from the telescopes. We're going to be able to capture images with our own telescope soon. So if somebody wants to help me figure out how to get my mead to work properly, I mean, it's practically brand new. I've only used it a few times. It's got all the buttons to track certain objects and stuff. I just haven't spent the time to figure it out. But if somebody wants to help me track this object, let's go. Let's do it, because I will absolutely spend time and money and effort into following this thing and live streaming it with you guys and gals out there. But there's like 35 different images right now of the object. And the ESA stuff is, when we saw that ESA video, it looked like it was a rotating ISS. It was, and it was just terrible pixelization. But this is the campaign from the International Asteroid Warning Network on 3i Atlas. It starts this month, 27th. It goes on until January 27th with a multitude of observatories and scientists and astronomers, and in hopes of being able to track objects even better and refine their orbits and their paths even better. They say that this is to help the future of astronomy and the future of the world. It's not because it's a threat or, you know, it's nothing to be afraid of, even though they won't show you any of the images. Unless it's, anyway, you know what I mean. But let's look at a few people that are brilliant, that are not saying the traditional mainstream theory that it is an interstellar comet. And one of those is Dr. John Brandenburg. He is a plasma physicist, a fusion energy expert, advanced space propulsion, and an author. He thinks it's artificial. He thinks it's a spacecraft. I need to get him on the show. I want to talk to him about it. This guy is genius. Doesn't mean he's right, but Dr. John Brandenburg is currently the senior scientist at Kepler Aerospace in Midland, Texas. He earned his PhD in theoretical plasma physics at the UC Davis and Lawrence Livermore National Laboratory in Livermore, California. In the 90s, he worked on NASA's Clementine mission, a space probe that was sent to map the moon. Clementine also detected enough water in the polar craters to support a human colony and a rocket fueling station. Let's go. Greg Allison is another genius that I have had on the show. He has talked about it on his own YouTube channel. You should subscribe to his YouTube channels, Green Greg's, and then go to Green Greg's YouTube channel, and then he's got his other YouTube channels there that you can subscribe to. But he is an aerospace engineer. He is a rocket scientist. He has a Guinness World Record for launching a homemade rocket into space as far as he did. He's worked as a contractor at NASA. He's worked as, or he's the owner of A2Z Aerospace Services. He has been a project assurance worker at Bastion Technologies. He's worked on Department of Defense technologies, stuff he can't even talk about. The guy's genius. And he has a lot of questions about 3I Atlas as well. And he hasn't come out and said he thinks it's an alien spaceship, but he's basically said he wouldn't be surprised if it is. And we've looked at a lot of the anomalies. Professor Loeb is also a theoretical physicist working in astrophysics and on astrophysics and cosmology. He is a professor of science at Harvard University, and he is on the forefront right now of these interstellar objects, as well as he was with Oumuamua. I interviewed him several years ago about Oumuamua, and it's strange. It's, strange behaviors, at least what we're accustomed to and what we know about. Look at this. Kim Kardashian is welcome to join my research team on 3I Atlas. That would be interesting. Well, you definitely get some new eyes on that. That's for sure. Okay, so this is also really interesting, and I want to point this out while you're here. Thousands of reports of unidentified submersible objects, the aquatic equivalent of a UFO, have been logged along U.S. shorelines in recent years. Thousands of these things. Thousands. Let me share a little bit of this with you. I think it's very interesting. Looking for my notes. Oh, yeah. Let's go to this real quick. So you heard about the Musk interview, right? The Elon Musk interview, Elon Musk, 3I Atlas. So this is what basically Elon Musk had to say about 3I Atlas. An appearance on the Joe Rogan Experience, Musk discussed 3I Atlas and acknowledged that its behavior is unusual and could be influenced by something beyond gravity. Musk said that if he were ever aware of concrete evidence of extraterrestrial life, he promised he would reveal it publicly. He added, "I keep my promises, and one thing I can say is I'm never committing suicide," to be clear, ever, in the same conversation. Really weird. Regarding the object's composition, nickel-rich in size, Musk commented on the potential threat if it were to hit Earth, stating it could obliterate a continent, maybe worse. What Musk did not claim, he did not definitively state that 3I Atlas is an alien spaceship or a dark matter relic. His remarks were speculative and phrased as could be or something beyond gravity may be at play. He did not provide any scientific data or formal hypothesis. His comments were conversational and not part of a peer-reviewed statement or official report. Brought to you by ChatGPT. His comments tapped into growing speculation about 3I Atlas. Yes, got it. So very, very interesting, ladies and gentlemen. What do you think of 3I Atlas? Kind of a weird thing to say, right? Like you're asked about 3I Atlas and then you say, oh, if I know anything about aliens, I'm going to tell you and I'm not going to commit suicide. But Elon Musk is a unique person. So some people literally think he's Martian. And if somehow they proved that, I wouldn't be surprised either way. Guy's very obviously genius, very intelligent, and has a lot of power. But I'm fascinated with Mars as well. And I have a theory on Mars, which I've shared with you before, that Mars before it was completely obliterated. People managed to leave Mars, or Martians managed to leave and then colonize Earth. And then that was turned into religious texts later. But that's a whole other podcast. Whole other podcast, ladies and gentlemen. I want to talk about this and how many of these underground objects. Okay, where is it? Got like 50 pages of notes. Oh, hold on. All data on the, I've got to find my notes. I'm looking for the search. So if you look at the All Domain Anomaly Resolution Office, which was created by the U.S. Department of Defense, they have 757 UAP reports from May 2023 to June 2024. 485 of those incidents occurred during the reporting period. 272 were backlog cases from 21 and 22. Now, this more recent news that came out about this right here, UFO trackers show thousands of eerie underwater objects lurking along the U.S. coasts. Literally 30,000 reports, and 1,000 of those reports are within, I think, 15 or 20 miles off the coast. And then there's reports of fishermen recording these weird lights coming up, and then the thing just takes off. And that could have been terrestrial craft of some type. That could have been ours. But to see so many reports, I find it quite remarkable, because there's also some national security problems with that. If these are adversaries, like what if this is a military that does not have our best interest at heart, and we're thinking it's aliens when in reality it's just across the pond? Thousands of these cases. Absolutely incredible. But there's some data I want to share with you. Here we go. Found it. Okay. No, that's the crop circle. Drones. Massive drone incursions. Klein-Brogel Air Base, Belgium. The air base is believed to host U.S. nuclear weapons under NATO sharing arrangements. Several drones were observed flying over their facility. The latest incident involved 4 drones spotted on the evening of November 3rd after similar sightings on the previous nights. Belgian defense officials regarded these incursions as likely espionage missions, not hobbyist flights. The origin of these drones is not publicly attributed, though. Belgium's defense minister said investigations are examining state actors, and Russia is considered the greatest current threat. This is the base. Let me show this to you. Check this out. Klein-Brogel Nuclear Air Base with nuclear technologies, and it's being raided by drones that they're not shooting down, and they haven't stopped. Theo Franken confirmed that over the weekend, multiple drone flights were observed above the base. The base is highly strategic. It houses Belgium F-16 fighter jets. It's set to host F-35s, and is one of the few European sites reported to store U.S. tactical nuclear weapons as part of NATO sharing. The flights happened in 2 phases. These drone flights, first smaller drones testing radio security frequencies, then larger drones at higher altitudes targeting the site. One night, 3 drones reportedly involved a police helicopter and jammer deployment. The jammer failed to neutralize the drones, and pursuit lost track, at least one of them, after several kilometers. Belgium now has issued orders for its military to shoot down unknown drones over military bases if it's safe to do so. So, yeah. And then Snap. Like 42 million people are on track to lose food benefits. And that could be a reason why President Trump has the National Guard in a multitude of large cities, and potentially more cities, and potentially more Marines, because this could get really ugly. Now, I have a feeling things are going to get better before they get worse. Like this isn't going to drag out, but there's mixed reports about what's going on right now. So about 42 million Americans depend on SNAP monthly. Benefits are cut to roughly half and delayed. Many households are going to face significant food security risks. And it's a complete cluster right now. There's a multitude of different reports about what's really going on, and we'll keep you posted. So thank you, everybody, for watching. I hope you have a beautiful day. Hit that bell for all notifications. Check us out over on Patreon. Remember to get your Boomer Boost and Gladiator barley. Stuff's amazing. BoomerBoost.com. Use the code LEAK20. You'll get an extra 20% off. The stuff is amazing. It's like my go-to. And quick shameless plug. All right, everybody. Be the change you want to see. Thank you.